Welcome to MTA International Studios in Silver Spring, Maryland. This is Open Forum, and today we're going to be talking about orthopedics, the study of bones and pain and medicine, and how can we help people feel better, walk better, move better. And we have with us today Dr. Naseem Rahmatullah, who's been in private practice in orthopedic surgery for the past 30 years in Ohio and New York. Welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you.
So tell me, what is orthopedic surgery? I mean, it's a branch of medicine, correct?
It is a branch of medicine which deals with the musculoskeletal system, which means the muscles, the associated tendons and ligaments and bones. And the idea is to reduce pain and improve the mobility of a patient. It, in fact, improves the quality of life of a patient.
And so we're talking about muscles all over the body. There's ligaments that connect the muscles to the bones. And what causes these types of pains?
Well, there are various conditions that cause the pain. They can be related to the muscles or the ligaments or the bones itself. And if you talk about bones and joints, which people consider as arthritis, that causes pain. And associated with arthritis, because the joints are stabilized by tissues that we call ligaments, those ligaments can cause pain as they lose elasticity or they get damaged over time.
So help me understand. So arthritis is pain in the bones.
Arthritis is pain in the joints.
In the joints, right. In the joints. And what causes that?
Arthritis, first, the primary cause is, aging process. It's a regular wear and tear of our daily activity that over time catches up with us.
So it's like running causes pressure, skiing.
Running causes pressure. Playing sports causes more damage to joints than normal activity would. And there are other medical conditions like rheumatoid arthritis. It is a condition where the autoimmune system attacks the joints and damages the joints.
And from what I understand, arthritis is more prevalent in women than men?
Arthritis in the knees is more prevalent in women.
So let's talk about the knees. A lot of people that I know have trouble with their knees after a while, including me. From running, from doing things I perhaps shouldn't have been doing, but at the end of the day, I have pain. How do I know if it's just not temporary pain, if it's something where I should go see a doctor?
Well, it depends on the activity that you do. Now, if you have been running on concrete, you're constantly pounding on your knees. And that would cause you pain if that is an activity that you have not done for a while. And if you start off today pounding on pavement and running, and you'll develop pain that day. Mm-hmm. That wouldn't be unusual. But if you are playing sports, you twist your knee or you get tackled or you sustain damage to your knee, then that would also eventually lead to arthritis.
And what are the most so what can I do as an individual without going to a doctor to prevent from developing arthritis or prevent me from having to come see you?
Well, if I prevent you from coming to see me, I'll lose my job. But
you're not incentivized for me to not come see you.
That's correct. But just let's talk about the knees. With regards to the knees, the best thing you can do with regards to your knees is that although walking and running is a good exercise, but you are pounding on your knees. So any weight-bearing exercise that you are doing is bad for your knees. So if you can bike or you can swim or you can ride an elliptical cycle, that would help because you're not constantly pounding on your knees. See, if you remember that each time you walk and you take a stance where you put one foot forward, and as you lift up the other foot, you are putting 2.5 times your body weight on each knee.
Wow.
So
2.5 times?
2.5 times. So, and if you are doing that pounding on concrete or you're running, you're going to end up damaging that knee pretty shortly. So that you need to consider.
And are there exercises I can do to help maintain better condition?
Yes. As I said, avoid running and jumping and those exercises. You can go biking, you can go swimming. But there are simple exercises that you can do. The front of the knee, right above your kneecap, what we call the quadriceps muscle, is the muscle that holds you up when you're standing and when you're walking. And that muscle, if you maintain strength in that muscle and the quality of the muscles stays well, that will help prevent a lot of damage to your knees, reduce the pain that you may have in your knee, and stabilize your knee. And it's a very simple exercise. If you see these people sitting, they're lifting weights up with their legs. But the only thing is you lift weight up with your legs, with your knee straight, rather than stretching your knee out from a bent position.
Okay.
And if you do that several times a day.
So have your knees straight and just lift it up. Okay, and just keep lifting it. Okay.
Like,
if I'm here, I just put it straight.
Right, and you lift it up and hold it up there for 10 seconds, then let it down.
For 10 seconds, okay, okay.
Then you
let it down, okay.
And then if you add weights to your ankle, that makes your leg heavier, that adds to the exercise.
And this helps the top of my knee, which you talked about?
Quadriceps muscle.
Quadriceps muscle. Yes. Okay, so that I can do at home now, just to prevent from these pains coming in later.
Yeah, but most of the time, people don't do it, so that's the problem.
I see.
They want to go to physical therapy, they want somebody else to do it for you, but nobody else can strengthen your knee, or you can do it.
I see.
So that's why people end up with problems with their knees. And you would see that in our culture, especially in our Indo-Pakistani culture, that people get to not be able to say salat because their knees start to bother them.
They sit on chairs, yeah. They've got a solution for that.
And the reason for that is because it's not because they've got arthritis in their knees. It is because the ligaments have lost their elasticity, and they stiffen up, the joints stiffen up, so when they go down in the squatting position or the sujood position, it's difficult for them. So in order to avoid that, you would notice that in our culture in villages in Pakistan, because people sit on floors, they squat down, and they use squatting toilets as well. So their knees are constantly stretched, and they do not get this problem that we in modern society get here in Western culture. And
so it's just lack of activity leads to you. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
So even the Japanese culture, they sit down on the floor, and they use squatting toilets. So their knees are constantly stretched, and the ligaments are stretched, so they stay in a stretched position. So they do not get as much rheumatism or pain in their knees as we would.
So you're saying that there should, I'm sure there are exceptions, but for the most part, when you go to a mosque and you see the large group of individuals that are sitting on the side in chairs, that's preventable.
That's preventable. Most of it is because knees in men only get arthritis in their knees if they are injured in sports or they have some other injury. Otherwise, women get it in their knees because of their pregnancies and the weight they have to carry and the work activity they do at home.
So you're exposing a large, fairly significant thing here. So when I look at some of the older gentlemen who are sitting in a mosque and praying sitting down, and if they would just sit on the floor more to stretch their knees, if they would do the exercise you just showed me more, that could prevent them from having to sit.
That's correct. But if they started doing it before the symptoms started,
Okay, so you got to start. You got to maintain early.
Early stages of their symptoms.
So the prevention mechanism here is keep your knees stretched by doing those things.
Yes, because if you consider this, if you say salat 5 times a day, you are squatting down about 32 times plus every day.
That's true. That's true.
So if you're
that's not causing you to have to sit.
That's not causing you to have to sit. That is helping you. Salat is good for your knees. If you did it in with the concentration that you're supposed to do it, the knees it's good for your knees. what happens is, because people, when they have a little ache here or a little ache there, they start sitting in chairs. So they make their problem worse. And the promised Messiah alayhi salam used to say that, children, you should teach the children to put their feet properly, when they're sitting down in Salat, when they sit and put their feet properly.
Behind them, okay.
The way we are supposed to. Before the age of 12 or 9, you should make sure that they are able to do that, because after that, it is very difficult for them to do that if they have not done it. So
To learn it.
to learn it, yeah, because then the elasticity in your joints starts to decrease thereafter. So it would be difficult.
So you're prescribing
Yeah.
doing salat, standing up and doing all the 32 times going up and down as your prescription to prevent from your knees from going bad? Is that what you're saying?
Well, that is one of the things I'm saying.
Okay.
And
That's great. That's right. It won't cost me anything either.
it wouldn't cost you anything. The
I
other
get some
thing,
blessings out of it too.
the other thing also that I'm going to tell you is that if you say salat, now supposing you've lost your appetite, you're not feeling like you want to eat,
Yeah.
and if you say salat, and you say salat with concentration, like suppose you're saying Isha salat, and you spent, usually you take 5, 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah.
If you say it concentration over a period of time, and you can try this.
Okay.
After salat, you're going to start feeling hungry, because
I'm not following you. So you're saying if I'm not hungry and I go say salat, I will become hungry?
most of the time, yes.
Oh, and what if I'm trying to lose weight?
Well, if you're trying to lose weight, then you want to starve yourself, then you may have to
Don't stop saying salat.
don't say stop saying salat, yeah.
Okay.
But that is very important to understand that.
So salat is a way not only to get your spiritual benefits from it, but also get some physical benefits of it as well, from eating more regularly to helping your knees and your elasticity, and you're more mobile as a result of that as well. I've never seen that connection being made.
Yeah, that is what it is. And see, God prescribed salat for us, taking into consideration He created us, and He instituted salat for our benefit spiritually and physically. Physical is also included in it, and that is why we were taught these proper positions, how to sit, how to keep your feet. And if you don't do it, then later on you can't do it. If you don't do it in the early stages, later on you can't do it. And it is very important to do that, because salat, is our salvation. Salat is a time-limited online communication with God.
Yeah.
And remembrance of Allah is an offline, unlimited communion with God. So
Absolutely.
it makes life, if you think it of that way.
Yeah, we would say that again.
In the parlance or talking about technology,
Online and
I start
offline, yeah.
always. And you should also realize that in the posture of, when you're prostrating or sujood, when you are cut off from everything else, and you're whispering to God with your eyes closed, and if you realize the mercy of God that is surrounding you at that time, and the people say that if you realize what the amount of mercy that is surrounding you, you would never raise your head up again.
Wow.
So, and it is these things, so you take them.
It all connects. So let's talk about weight and ligaments for a second. So our ligaments, tell me what is a ligament and how that...
Ligaments are structures that, they are strands of tissues that are around the joints, Joints are where two bones come and meet.
So this is a joint.
Yeah. Anywhere two bones come and meet,
Yeah.
they're surrounded by tissues that we call ligaments, and they are for the stability of the joint, that the joints don't pop out of the socket. And tendons are when a muscle attaches to a bone. So muscle, as you know, is the meaty part.
Right.
So then it kind of shrinks and becomes a white strand, and it attaches to a bone.
Okay.
So that is a different than ligaments.
And we want to keep those stretched as well?
So that you want to keep that those stretched and strengthened.
So tell me, what are the most common for men? What are some of the most common reasons a man would come to an orthopedic surgeon? What physical operations have you done most of? I mean, hips, knees. I mean, what's the most common?
In men, mostly hips.
Hips, and that's because of their weight?
Yes, most of it is weight. Sometimes injuries cause it. In Western countries, alcoholism causes necrosis or damage to the hips.
Wow, so alcoholism causes direct damage to your hips as well?
Yes.
Wow, so it impacts everything.
Men, because they play a lot of sports and they indulge in a lot of physical laborious work, so their injuries kind of vary, and most men come to see me because of their back injuries.
Their backs, yeah.
Yes.
And that's caused by not taking care of your back?
That's still not.
And what are these shots that people come to you for? If they're not doing surgery, is that like a lube job, if you will, in car terms?
Yeah. The shots that we usually prescribe for backs, and most of the shots I give are in the backs, are to reduce the swelling and the inflammation, which in turn reduces the pain.
I see.
So
swelling causes pain.
Causing inflammation and swelling causes pain, because if you think that a nerve is going through a foramina, which is a canal through which a nerve goes from your back to down to your legs, and if there is swelling, the nerve gets pinched in the.
That's what a pinched nerve is.
Right.
Okay. Okay.
So now, if you want to reduce the pinching, what you do is you give this shot so this inflammation reduces, and this will open up. So this will.
I see.
So the pain would kind of reduce.
Yeah.
And
what are the most common issues for women and that they come to an orthopedic surgeon for?
women come mostly for carpal tunnel syndrome.
In their wrists?
In their hands, yes.
And what causes that?
The work in the kitchen does that quite a bit. And
So they should reduce their work in the kitchen?
well, that is one aspect of it. But once they reduced their work in the kitchen, they started going out and started doing work.
Yeah.
And as they started doing physical work in factories, because the women tissues are not capable of handling the stress of factory work,
Really?
so they started getting carpal tunnel from their factory work.
I see.
So in this Western society, you see that quite often now, that as women got into the workforce, and they started doing factory works, even nowadays, and because of constant sitting on computer and secretarial work, the activity of working on a keyboard over a period of time will also give you carpal tunnel. And gives more to the women, because men have been doing this all their life, physical work, so their bodies are cut out to do that.
So how do they prevent this? Is there any preventive maintenance they can, well, other than stop working?
Other than stop working. Well, the prevention is that there is really no prevention other than stop working.
I see. So you got to do. So what I'm learning here is a few things. So let me get this straight. One is Salat is a great way for men and women to not having to come see you. Although it may hurt you financially, but you want them to, it helps them prevent lots of injuries.
That's correct.
Secondly, I'm learning that there are certain things women's bodies weren't meant to do, and that's where like carpal tunnel is more prevalent on women than men.
That's correct.
Third, I'm learning that when you walk or when you run, it's 2.5 times your weight that applies pressure, and that's causing you to have bad knees, bad hips.
Especially if you're overweight.
If you're overweight. So what does the weight have to do? Because you're just carrying so much more?
You're carrying so much more, and each time you 2.5 times each step you take. If you're 100 pounds, that's 250 pounds. But if you're 200 pounds,
that's a lot of weight.
So
So there's a lot going on then.
No.
So tell me, I've never seen this connection between, just to come back for a second, I've never seen this connection between orthopedic surgery and Salat. How did you make that connection?
One of my professors in medical college, he was also an Ahmadi, and he was a surgeon. He always used to make a connection between our physical aspect and what we do in our spiritual lives, or Salat.
Right.
So I also would think and try to make connection. For example, my professor would say that when you say Salat and you bow down, your kidney, the lower part of your kidneys, cannot drain if you stand up straight, keep standing straight. But as you go down like this, the lower part of your kidneys would drain into the, so that the urine goes down into your bladder. So,
wow.
So the fact that the fluid stays in the lower part of your kidneys, you're more liable to make stones, especially if you have a history of kidney stones and stuff.
Prevent kidney stones by saying proper Salat.
Going proper Salat.
My God, and now
that's what he used to say, but it was a good connection that he used to make, and so that is how I can.
So now, do you? I assume you practice what you preach. You actually still say Salat standing up. You're able to do that.
By the grace of God, I am. Yes.
That's good. So final thoughts. Tell me, for those of us sitting at home, perhaps a little overweight or a lot overweight, or concerned about our weight, and we haven't been eating healthy, and we don't exercise very much. What's a good place to start? Is it the knee stretching exercises? Where should I start? How do I start this journey to having better health, preventing a lot of this disease?
Do all the things in combination. If you are overweight, start working on that, and then do the exercises. And if you're not saying Salat 5 times a day in a proper way, start doing that. And then, as we all say, pray that all that you have done, may God bless it, and you will achieve your goal.
Great. Well, thank you for being on the show.
Jazakumullah.
Today we learned about orthopedic surgery. We learned about how these things come together. We learned about ligaments and bones, and how we prevent knee injury, how we prevent hip injury, how we prevent carpal tunnel. We've had a wide walk, and we connected it back to prayer or Salat, which I've never seen the two connect before, but they connected beautifully, where I know I've learned that if I stand up and say my Salat more properly 5 times a day, I can prevent many, many injuries, as well as be more spiritually inclined. Thank you for being on the show. This is MTA International Studios in Silver Spring, Maryland. Open Forum.